Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, I'm going to do a review of, look at all these jackets. Look at them all. I made every single one and I failed to do a bulk review of them all. So that's what today's episode is going to be. Massive review of loads of jacket patterns.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
Honestly, I probably should have cut this into 2 reviews, but I just want to get them done. And I think the ones with, I think I'll keep some of the jackets, but some of them I'll just pull apart and use as scraps to do other jacket reviews. Okay, we'll start with this Burda one with the absolutely massive collar. I feel like it doesn't look as big in the picture. I did do the smaller size. I think the smaller size was an 8 or a 10. I usually make a size 6, but Burda, the smaller size is usually a 10. Sometimes they make an 8. So yeah, that's why it looks a bit too big for the mannequin, because the mannequin is me size, but the jacket is not. So the collar, if you're a standard size is 14, 16 and 18 or above, then I think the collar will be perfectly fine. But if you're a smaller than regular size, standard size, then I would maybe do a mock-up first. And then this is my mock-up, but I made it out of denim because I had some denim lying around. I do think it's good to make it out of denim. That was a good move. And I love these cuff details. I think I just have no shoulders to speak of whatsoever. Oh, the jackets on the left and the right are the 2 types of jackets that I wear, because I'm just, I like those ones. So I just have them there to compare them. So you can see it's more, to me, this is more like a coat that I would wear over one of my jackets rather than it just being a jacket. But it's supposed to be a jacket, but it looks more like a coat to me, like something you wear outdoors, and then I wouldn't wear it in the office all day. To me, a jacket is something you can wear in the office, whereas a coat is outerwear that you wear to protect you outside from the elements, and then you take it off and it wouldn't be appropriate to wear it in the office. So I like it, but not personally for me. I think this picture is absolutely adorable. I love the shorter version. It's so cute. Oh, and when you make it, the collar that you can see is actually the facing, and the underside of the collar is the whole of the front, and the underside of the collar are cut out as one. So when you're trying to make it, think of it as an apron. The underside of the collar is like the ribbon that goes around your neck of an apron. So I was trying to figure out, as I was making it, the instructions were so confusing to me. So this underside bit there, just when you've made it, I know this sounds ridiculous, but you sew the 2 front sides together at the back of the collar. So the 2 front sides, if you pin them together, and the underside of the collar, like it all becomes an apron. It will make sense when you're trying to figure stuff out. Just put it over your head and you'll understand, or put it on a mannequin. And I had to put mine on a mannequin. I was like, oh, okay, I understand now. So that was confusing to me. But apart from that, the rest of the putting it together was pretty simple. Everything fit. It was good. Yeah, it's a good pattern. But it didn't have small sizes. That was annoying to me. But it does have a goodish range of sizes. This is another Burda one, Burda 6123. I love this pattern. It's billed as a super easy Chanel style jacket, and I agree with that. I just really like it. I think I did a review when I reviewed the other 6 or 7. This was in it, but I've done a couple more versions since. So that one on the left there is the Vogue 7975, which is considered like, it's one of the only patterns that's been in constant in print constantly for the past 2 decades, which tells you how incredibly popular it is. And this one, yeah, if you're too nervous, like setting sleeves is extremely difficult to do. And if you're working with tweed for the first time as well, then it's a lot of new elements all at once. And I'd say this is much more straightforward. It's just one bit of the, like 2 front bits, 1 back bit. That's pretty much it. Plus, you know, the same again for the lining. And then you have to sew them together and that's it. So whereas with the Vogue 7975, it is a more fitted jacket. It is more flattering. But if you want to get yourself on the way to being able to make a more complicated jacket, this is a great starter one. I like it because I want a really simple jacket that I can bead into a lot, embellish a lot. And this is me just telling you that at the back of my cuffs, I leave a slit open. I don't alter the sleeve piece. I just leave it open because I type a lot. So, but if you, oh, and just ignore the bit in the back. Yeah, that was a me mistake that no one else would make, so I won't bother confusing you with it. So yeah, I highly recommend Burda 6123. I think it's a great pattern. I've made it there in 2 different cottons, aqua on one side and a 1960s floral print on the other. This is yet another Burda pattern. I guess I thought I should get all the Burda ones out of the way first. So this is Burda 5870. I love the picture on the front. The red one is adorable. I did A length, the cropped one with the scallop edge, but I just did it straight and not scalloped. And but I did the sleeve extension from B. And I don't think you need it. I really don't like a short sleeve. And my assumption was that the shorter version, the shorter length must be too short for me. But actually, I think it would be fine. If I did it again, I would just extend the regular or the short version of the sleeve maybe a tiny bit. But it's fine in a pinch. It's fine the way it is. I have, as I keep saying, I have small shoulders, so this jacket wasn't for me. But as far as jacket goes, I think this is a really, really good jacket. The aqua one is grown on sleeves, so you don't have to cut out separate sleeves and stitch them in, whereas this one you do. So if you're sort of in the order that they're in, the aqua one is, if you're just starting out sewing, that would be a good one. This one in the middle is more difficult simply because you have to attach the sleeves and there's always the possibility that you could go wrong somewhere with that. And then the Vogue 7975, the other one, is more difficult. Obviously, I didn't do great with the placement of the print on here. There's those 2 big navy blodges on the bust part. But, oh, and I just folded up the cuff here so you can get a better idea, because the length of a folded up cuff is sort of what you would probably do. And this is what I'm just, so that you can compare the 3. You can see which one looks better. It is, I put the camera down and just patted them closer so you can see how flattering it is to the small of the back. It's actually quite baggy. Yeah, the Vogue 7975 has princess seams in the back, so it's really tapered, it's really flattering. This one doesn't actually have very heavy beading on it at all. I don't think there's any glass beads on that. It's all plastic, so it's quite lightweight. So it's, yeah, on my ones where I have heavier beads, it's really noticeable how figure hugging the jacket is. But these 2, I like them. They're not the most flattering that a jacket can be, but that's a good thing too. If you have like days where you're feeling bloated, like I am at the moment, I would probably go for one of those 2 jackets rather than a really, really fitted jacket. As you can see from the back here, it's quite a broad, like if you've got standard shoulders or even broad shoulders, I would definitely recommend this one because it's quite roomy in the shoulders. For me, it's just, I just feel like a child who's been, who complained that they were cold and they've been forced to wear their parents' jacket or parents' top to keep them warm or something. I just feel like an absolute child when my clothes don't fit me. So yeah, for me it's a no, but it's a nice jacket in general. Again, it's Burda, so they don't make I think the smaller size was a 10 or maybe an 8. It was really easy to put together. All the pieces fit. I tend not to make videos. If I start making a jacket and there's a problem with the pattern, I just don't bother making it into a video. So yeah, they're all good in that there's no fundamental flaws in them, but yeah, it's just about whether you like them or not. So this one here was actually a dress pattern. I'm not convinced it would work as a dress, but other people are probably less active than me and less demanding of their dresses. But so I cropped it at the fit line at the waist and then just added a little. And yeah, it's a double-breasted jacket, and I didn't bother with the buttonholes or the buttons. It's princess seam into the arm side. So what that means is the front is 2 pieces instead of 1 piece with some darts that you have to sew in. And into the arm side means that the top of the princess seam goes into the sleeve rather than going right up to the top as it does with that Vogue 7975, the jacket, or the golden jacket on the left, as well as the other one as well. And here I'm showing you the back. For me, I've got one of those high athletic butts, so if I made this into a jacket, I would crop it higher at the back because it's not flattering. I don't think a longer jacket is flattering on anyone because women tend to have childbearing hips, so we all look like triangles if our jackets go down too far, in my opinion. But you do you. Oh, and because this isn't actually a jacket, it's a dress. It's made with dressmaking techniques and dressmaking drafting. So the back has darts instead of, On the Vogue 7975, the back has princess seams. In tailoring, the front and the back of the jacket have to match. So if you have princess seams on the front, you have to have princess seams on the back. So if you are a sewing snob, God knows I'm a snob, but that will matter to you. But also if you're a smaller size, you really do need princess seams on the back of your jacket. Not smaller size, just less body fat. Then your bones will stick out and your shoulder blades, like you need the princess seams because you need room for your shoulder blades. But I quite like this jacket, this technically top half of a dress. Often when you make a jacket with collar and lapels, the lapels will be the wrong size, the collar is the wrong size, or the fit's not right. I like everything about this one. So yeah, I think it's a good one. Definitely do a mock-up first though. Oh, and now we're on to the Vogues. I put these two together because it also has princess seam into the arm side. So instead of going right up to the top over the shoulder, it goes into the sleeve. And this pattern was a coat, but I made it up just as the top half as a jacket. Really has no room for your butt. So if you've got a completely flat butt, then you'll be fine. But literally everyone else, I would definitely recommend you make it as a jacket first. Do all the fit issues that you need to do in the top half, and then add the bottom half, because you're going to have to add, you've got hips like a normal human being, and and you've probably got a butt that's bigger than the model's one too. So yeah, I don't see how the coat length one can fit anyone. It's too flat in the back in my opinion. But yeah, I like the two jackets that I like. This one was, I think the smaller size was an 8. I have the same problem. I think I'm going to stop doing mock-ups of jackets. If they don't have my size, then I just, like, I know other people aren't my size. I know, and all sizes are valid. I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just saying that for me to have an opinion on something, it just doesn't seem like I'm gathering useful information. So yeah, anyway, so it does look, I feel like this one looks a little frumpy from side on, but it does have ease built in that a coat would have rather than a jacket. So if you want something that's a little bit looser, yeah, so you can really see it when you turn it to the back. You can just see how much bigger this is than one of my jackets. So part of that is I just have really small shoulders, but part of it is also the size. I thought I would like this more than I do. So all the bits fit together as they should, like the usual. And a princess seam into the arm side is more complicated to do. I think if you've never done it before, it's more complicated to do because each piece looks wrong, because in your mind, well, when I look at pieces, sometimes I forget to subtract the seam allowance when I'm looking at them. So the parts, each piece might look wrong to you, but just sort of factor in your mind when you're looking at each piece, oh yeah, I've got to allow for seam allowance here, and the sleeve seam allowance. So when you factor in all those, then it makes sense. But if you're just looking at the pieces, you're like, wow, there's something really wrong here. I would say the pictures on the front are quite accurate. So if you like them, then that's good. This one here, I was doing all the disappointing ones in a row, aren't I? Yeah, it's another Vogue one, and generally speaking, I like Vogue patterns. So it's Vogue 8991, and I thought I would really like the cuff. Yeah, the sleeve on this, I'm just pointing out that it's not great. The way the sleeve is drafted, they made a mistake with it. About, God, what is it, a decade or 2 decades ago, all the sewing pattern companies decided that to indicate the front of a pattern piece, there'll be 1 notch, and to indicate the back, there'll be 2 notches. So when you have a sleeve piece, there should be a double notch at the back of the sleeve and a double notch on the torso of the jacket where the back of the sleeve goes, and this one doesn't have it. It just has a single notch. I guess what that means is this is an old pattern and they've just reissued it. But yeah, so I put the sleeves on the wrong way round because they're not well drafted sleeves. And everyone who saw the video wanted me to carefully unpick the sleeves and put them on the other way. Like, I've made over 100 jackets. The point is not if I spend another 2 hours carefully unpicking and resewing, then everything will be fine. That's not the point. The point is that someone who's made a lot of jackets wasn't able to distinguish. The drafting of the sleeve is not done well. The front of the sleeve and the back of the sleeve look the same at the shoulder, which is wrong. Like, think about moving your arm. You need so much more movement in the front half because that's where you move your arm. No one, unless you're being handcuffed, you just simply don't put both of your hands around your back like that. So yeah, but I mean, obviously, if you have oodles amount of time, then go ahead, unpick things and swap them around on your mock-up. But this is just a mock-up. And yeah, I just found it really disappointing. And the back is incredibly baggy. I think this was the pattern that you're supposed to stitch your tweed outer jacket to your silk lining and just keep randomly stitching and take up the ease that way. I that's not how you make a proper jacket. I mean, do whatever. I know there's lots of lessons that you can take that tell you to quilt your silk lining to your jacket. I made a whole video last December. I made a whole video about quilting versus regular. Chanel made one business decision based on what was the cheapest thing to do. And yeah, you're making your own clothes. If you want to do it in the cheapest possible way, why are you making your own clothes? Just buy something from a fast fashion store, is my opinion. And because I have to repair and like I want my jackets to last as long as possible, I just do not do things that way. But anyway, that's a lot of negativity. So I'm going to get out my Vogue 7975 and show you this, because this is my favorite pattern and it's the most popular pattern. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I've got loads of old ones. So just go to my page and do Vogue V7975 and they'll all come up. So the longer ones go into more detail. Obviously, the shorter ones just tell you which bits to put together when. The one on the right is the original one. So I just took the pattern out of the packets, traced the pieces I need, made the jacket. Then from there, you can make the alterations that you require. I have tiny shoulders, so I had to alter them at both princess seams on the front, left, front, right, back, left, back, right, both sides of each piece. And then, what am I showing you here? Oh, so one sleeve I did at the bracelet length and one sleeve I did at the long length. So you could see what it looks like on each one. And in the video where I take you through making this mock-up and how to alter it, I explain everything in that and I show you both sides as well. So the middle one is the Vogue 7975 after I've made the alterations. So I have a slightly smaller bust than the regular default. I have smaller shoulders, so I had to alter all the pieces at the from the bust up on both the front and the back. And then what was the other thing? The neckline. I like the neckline of my jackets to be off my neck. And the back, as I said, I've got a large, high athletic butt and big hips, so I just look ridiculous in a regular length jacket. It's a really good pattern and the instructions are really clear. When I first decided I wanted to make my own jackets, I bought 10 different patterns, and this is me just admiring the sleeve. I put the exact same amount of effort into each mock-up and same amount of time, so you can see how neat these sleeves are compared to some of the other ones. These are really easy ones to put in. So if you've tried to make a jacket before and setting the sleeves has been an absolute disaster for you, when these patterns, Simplicity has sales all the time. Wait until a sale is on where you can get loads of patterns for whatever. And try that one because I think it's a really good pattern. And I've got a whole video on how you do alterations. Short version, make the sleeves first before you cut out anything else. Try them on. If they're too small, you need to go up a size, which means you also need to go up a size on the jacket so that the sleeve fits the jacket. So try the sleeve on first, get the right size in the sleeve, then go on to the jacket. And with the jacket, you fit the back of the jacket first. Once you've done that, then you fit the shoulders, and then once you've done that, only then do you work on the bust. Do not start with the bust because everything else has to be right before you get to the bust. So, and you need to, when you make a mock-up, you need to sew the sleeves on and you need to sew both sleeves on, because if you only sew one on, you'll pull the jacket, without knowing it, you'll pull the jacket to one side and you'll think your shoulders fit perfectly, but then when you put both sleeves on, there'll be less room. So, but I've got a whole video about it. Anyway, next jacket. The next one I'm going to show you is 3/4 sleeve. and it's the 1950s one that I just made. And so it's like a couple of videos ago. So I've got the other Chanel style jacket, so you can compare the two. They're both really different jackets. I'll show you what the pattern looks like. Pattern number is Simplicity S9738, and it's designed to be worn over a sleeveless dress. So if you're going to wear it over anything, I wouldn't recommend wearing it over a dress with sleeves. It would just be too bulky and too awkward. And yeah, I'm pretty sure your sleeves would bunch up and just add bulk to the bits of your arms where you don't want bulk added. This is what it looks like when you fold back the center fronts and make them into sort of faux lapels. And I think this is very on brand. This is probably the way they wore it when it first came out. And back in the day, instead of having a million bits of clothing like we do now, they would make one or two of something, and then they'd have lots of brooches. So they probably had brooches with green stones, brooches that look like clear glass or diamonds, and then they'd change the brooches on them. So I think folding the lapels back and then pinning them with brooches would be really good. Like if you like the 1950s look, that would look so authentic and also really cute. This is what it looks like from the side. So they're two different genres, these jackets. I like them both, but I think I would wear the bolero one, the one I just made, to more of a garden party, whereas the Chanel jacket is generally more formal. I mean, I just wear it with a t-shirt and jeans, so I always look casual, or like formal casual though. But I guess it's your attitude as well. I always seem formal to everyone. I will say with this bolero, if you get dressed by yourself and you have no one to help you, then a bolero jacket is very high at the back and you might not be able to get it on and off, especially if you get a bit sweaty when you get hot. It might stick just because you sort of need the back of the jacket. You sort of grab the back of the jacket when you take your jacket off and ease it off that way. And yeah, so just think about it. Yeah, it's not the most practical. It's adorable, but it might not be the most practical for you. Now, from the most cropped jacket I've made recently to the longest jacket that I've made recently, it's another Simplicity one, S9541. And I think if you made this in a floaty fabric, it would be much better. And yeah, if you want something that looks like a shirt, but you're a bit nervous to make a shirt, then this one might be perfect because it's got dolman sleeves, so you don't have to worry about setting sleeves. And it does have a collar-ish, it's sort of got a lapel on it. And yeah, so it's really easy. There's just like front left, front right, back piece, and then that whatever you want to call it, lapel or collar thing as well. So it's really easy to make, really easy to put together. I don't have the body type for it. I think you need at least regular size shoulders, or maybe even broad shoulders. Then I think it would look awesome. But for me, yeah, it makes me look, it accentuates all the bad bits and makes me feel like I'm a child wearing baggy, too big clothing. But just in general, if you like the picture, it does look like the picture, and the bits were easy to cut out, easy to sew together, everything fitted well together. Just personally, I think I would have liked it a lot more if I'd used a floaty fabric, but it didn't occur to me until afterwards. Okay, we're on the home straight. These three jackets all look different, but they're actually the same pattern. They are all Butterick B5529. I just made a few tweaks between each one. So this was the first one. And again, it's just a dolman sleeve jacket. So front left, front right, back is one whole piece. And then there's like technically it's a collar because you stitch it in if it's just an extension of the front piece. It's a lapel, and if it's a separate piece, then it's a and it's also got separate cuffs as well on the original. So yeah, I made the original. It's reversible, so one side is aqua and the other side is purple, like Sully from Monsters Inc., which is why I just pointed out the monster dress. So I liked it, but I don't like things near my neck, so I decided to make it without the collar and without the turn-up cuffs. I felt like because it's reversible, you can just turn it up and see the other fabric on the other side. And I like that, but then I was like, it's still a bit big and flappy at the front. So then I rounded the bottom front corners, and I really like that one. I like them all in their own way, but the second and third one in particular, and the third one, I think part of it is because the fabric is so pretty, but I really like that one as well. And if you've seen my this is me showing you the that this one is reversible as well. It's got one of the poppy fabrics in it, and yeah, so in the poppy dress video, I put the poppy jacket, turned inside the other way and put the jacket over it. But yeah, they're all really beautiful. They're the same length. I just put them on the mannequin slightly differently. And yeah, I really like this jacket. Totally recommend it. It is just the most gorgeous vintage style. This is me admiring the fabric. I love when you have two slightly different greens together. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's a Liberty fabric, and the other one is a vintage daisy print. And the remains of those two fabrics I ended up using in the aqua layer cake dress. I definitely recommend this pattern. I cannot believe it's 6 months ago since I made this. Goodness. I want to make a tweed version and embellish it, bead all over it. I think that would be beautiful. This jacket here is Simplicity 9124, and again, I made 3 different versions of this, but I didn't get the tweed one out. We've just got, this is straight off the pattern. And after I made this, I felt like the fronts, I sort of folded back the front. Oh, this is me pointing out that the sleeves are separate. But if you really panicked about making sleeves, then this is a good first step because it's just so simple. You sew the fronts to the back, and then you add this square bit of fabric that ends up becoming a sleeve. It's really simple and straightforward. There's no curved seams, so if curves are a little bit tricky for you on the sewing machine, I mean, you can just sew things by hand. It's perfectly fine. And it's actually considered better to do it by hand, but you know, all of us are a bit time poor, so we use our sewing machines. But if you're not great at controlling your sewing machine yet, you can just, well, make bags for everyone for Christmas. Get them done now, and that will get you used to sewing. But also just turn your sewing machine down to half speed for the difficult bits, and it will be a much easier. So anyway, I felt like that it was a little bit baggy for me, so I just changed the fronts, tapered them slightly for the second one, and then I made the tweed one as well. After that, the third one, it's in with my tweed jacket, so I didn't get it out. But I like both of these, and one of them I like the cuffs turned up, the golden one. I think it looks good with the cuffs turned up. With the other fabric, I think it's nicer without them turned up. But I would probably wear it both ways. I think you could add patch pockets to this. A patch pocket is just a square of fabric, and you fold in the, iron, press down the edges and stitch it into place, and it's just stitched on top. Or you could do one on the seam, a pocket on the seam as well. It's a little bit baggy, but I don't mind that. And this is the 3 simplest ones. If you really want to make a jacket, but you just are a little bit afraid of jackets, they are daunting, these 3 are really good. These 2 here are dressmaking. If you only are familiar with dressmaking, these 2 are actually all 3 They're really easy, and I think you end up with just a beautiful jacket, and you don't have to fuss about what the rules are, what to do. It's really simple, really straightforward, and the patterns are really solid and good, and you will get a beautiful outcome. So they're worth the investment in time in making. So I've got this daisy fabric and I want to embellish it. So that's just what you call it when you sew beads onto something. So I have to decide between these three, which of these patterns I'll use to make the jacket, and then I'll bead it. So yeah, I'm not sure. But it's going to be beautiful once it's done. And once it's done, I'm going to do a collections video of all different types of floral jackets, because I love flowers and I love jackets, and I've got all different types. So yes, I've got to get that done so that I can make another video. I think it'll be a really cute idea for a video. Anyway, that is it for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found something useful in here and that's helped you decide which jacket you are going to make for yourself. I think next episode might be a layer cake dress that has some Halloween fabric in it. Anyway, thanks again for watching and happy sewing.